What is something that not many people know about the challenges life throws our way? A common misconception is that these tests are random, cruel, or meant to punish us. In reality, they are carefully woven into the fabric of our existence, designed to reveal who we truly are and what we're capable of. Imagine trials that strip away illusions, push us to our limits, and demand nothing less than transformation. Today, we uncover the 7 life tests everyone must face, but few will pass, universal challenges that quietly shape our destinies, often without us realizing. These tests aren't about strength or intellect, they're about resilience, courage, and faith. Are you ready to see which ones have already touched your life, and how to overcome them? Let's start with one of the most subtle, yet profound challenges, the test of identity. It doesn't announce itself with drama or fanfare. Instead, it creeps in during quiet moments of dissatisfaction when the structures you've built around yourself, the career you've worked tirelessly for, the relationships you've nurtured, or the possessions you've acquired, start to lose their meaning. This test asks one of the most piercing questions of all. Who are you without the masks? Think about someone like Steve Jobs, a figure synonymous with innovation and success. But few know that in the early 1980s, after being ousted from Apple, the very company he co-founded, Jobs faced a profound identity crisis. He was stripped of the title, the role, and the prestige that had come to define him. Yet, instead of succumbing to despair, he embarked on a journey of reinvention. He founded Next, acquired Pixar, and ultimately returned to Apple, transforming it into one of the most valuable companies in the world. His success after such a loss underscores that Jobs didn't let external titles define him. Instead, he rediscovered his essence and built from there. This test, however, is not reserved for billionaires or corporate leaders. Ordinary people face it every day: parents whose children grow up and leave, individuals who retire after decades of dedication to a single career, or those who lose their social standing in a breakup or financial downturn. Each scenario leaves the same question hanging: who am I without this role? Most of us instinctively resist this question because it's terrifying to confront the void that lies beneath. Without our job titles, family roles, or achievements, we fear there might be nothing left. But this is where the real growth begins. It is in this raw vulnerability that we can uncover the core of who we are. A famous example from history is Mahatma Gandhi. Early in his life, Gandhi was a lawyer in South Africa, wearing suits and working within a system of colonial power. However, after experiencing the brutal realities of racial discrimination, he stripped away his westernized identity and embraced a life of simplicity. He abandoned material symbols of status, donning the simple dhoti that would later symbolize his philosophy. In doing so, he redefined himself, not as a lawyer, but as a leader and spiritual guide who changed the course of history. This test forces you to face the uncomfortable truth that the masks you wear are not the essence of you. You might ask yourself, if I'm not the successful entrepreneur, the devoted parent, or the talented artist, then who am I? The answer lies in stripping away these external identifiers and digging into your core values, passions, and beliefs, the parts of you that remain unshaken even when life dismantles everything else. Passing the test of identity is not about finding a new role to fill or a new mask to wear. It's about embracing your authentic self, raw and unfiltered. It's about realizing that your worth isn't tied to the roles society assigns you, but to the essence of who you are. When you rebuild your life from this place of truth, you find a strength and clarity that external validation could never provide. So, as you reflect on this test, ask yourself, if everything external falls away, your job, relationships, or possessions, what remains? The answer might be the most liberating discovery of your life. Next is the test of isolation, and let's be honest, this one scares most people, not because of the absence of others, but because of what it forces us to face, ourselves. In a world dominated by constant notifications, social media, and an unending stream of distractions, the thought of being truly alone can feel suffocating. Yet, true isolation isn't simply physical, it's emotional and spiritual. It's being alone with your thoughts, stripped of external validation and the noise that often drowns out the voice of your own soul. Even the most successful and powerful individuals have faced this test. Take Elon Musk, for instance. Known for his relentless ambition and innovation, Musk has often spoken about moments of solitude that have shaped his vision. Before Tesla became a household name, Musk faced crushing isolation, not just from a lack of support for his ideas, but from financial challenges and personal struggles. During those quiet, solitary nights of doubt, he was forced to confront his fears, his motivations, and his purpose. It was in those moments of isolation that his vision crystallized. Isolation didn't break him, it honed his focus. But this test isn't reserved for the tech magnates of the world. Think about Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players in history. After retiring from the NBA at the peak of his career following the murder of his father, Jordan found himself in a profound emotional isolation. He left the spotlight to play minor league baseball, a decision many criticized, but this period of solitude allowed him to reconnect with himself, to process his grief and find clarity. When he returned to basketball, he was not just a player but a man who had faced his inner world and emerged stronger. Isolation is a crucible. At first, it amplifies the fears and insecurities we've buried under the noise of daily life. I once experienced this during a silent retreat. No phone, no emails, just hours of stillness. At first, the silence wasn't peaceful, it was deafening. Regrets I'd avoided, fears I'd dismissed, and doubts I hadn't addressed all came rushing in. But as the days passed, the chaos within me settled, and in that stillness, I began to hear a voice I hadn't listened to in years, my own. Isolation teaches us that solitude isn't punishment, it's clarity, but most of us run from it. We turn to our phones, the television, or endless work to avoid the discomfort of facing ourselves. Yet, those who pass this test lean into the silence. They sit in the stillness long enough to confront the fears they've hidden from and discover the wisdom that lies beneath. Mother Teresa is another poignant example. Despite her life of service and dedication to others, she wrote of profound periods of spiritual isolation, times when she felt abandoned even by God. Yet she used this solitude not to despair, but to deepen her understanding of faith and compassion. It was through this isolation that she found strength to continue her mission of service, even when it felt impossible. So can you embrace isolation? Can you sit in silence long enough to hear what your soul is trying to tell you? It's not an easy test. At first, the stillness will feel unbearable, and the urge to escape will be strong. But if you resist that impulse, if you stay and listen, you might just uncover a strength and clarity you didn't know you had. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat alone with your thoughts? Could you do it without reaching for your phone, turning on the TV, or seeking company? If you can, you may discover that the voice within, the one you've been ignoring, is the guide you've been searching for all along. Now, the test of letting go, one of life's hardest lessons. It forces us to confront our attachments, be it people, dreams, or even pain, and asks us to release them. We often cling to these attachments, believing that our grip provides control. But the truth is, this very act of holding on can weigh us down, keeping us from the freedom we seek. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, it's an act of immense courage and trust in life's natural flow. One of the most well-known examples of this test is Oprah Winfrey. In her early career, Oprah faced significant challenges when her co-anchors and management doubted her abilities as a television host. She fought hard to prove herself, clinging to the idea of being accepted in a role that didn't align with her unique talents. It was only when she let go of that path and trusted her instincts to pursue a more personal and authentic style that she found monumental success. Her decision to release the expectations placed on her and embrace her individuality ultimately redefined daytime television and her legacy. Letting go isn't just about leaving the past behind. It's about recognizing when something no longer serves your growth. Consider Steve Jobs once again. After being ousted from Apple, Jobs could have clung to resentment or tried desperately to regain control over the company. Instead, he let go of the past, founded Next, and transformed Pixar into an animation powerhouse. That period of reinvention wasn't just a career pivot, it was a life transformation, proving that releasing old attachments opens space for new opportunities. Even in deeply personal matters, the ability to let go holds transformative power. Take Princess Diana, for instance. In the years following her highly publicized divorce from Prince Charles, Diana had to release not only the role of royal wife, but also the expectations of an entire nation. She chose to let go of her title, focusing instead on her humanitarian work. This act of releasing her former identity allowed her to become a global icon of compassion and strength, unbound by the constraints of her past. This test isn't just for the famous, it's a universal challenge. I once knew a woman who couldn't let go of her dream of becoming a professional musician. After years of struggling, she realized that her attachment to this specific dream was causing her more pain than joy. When she let go of the idea that her worth was tied to this one goal, she discovered a love for teaching music and helping others express themselves creatively. Her life flourished in ways she hadn't imagined. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that what's meant for you will remain and what isn't will fall away. It's about releasing the grip of fear and embracing the flow of life. Ask yourself, what are you holding on to so tightly that it's holding you back? Maybe it's a toxic relationship, a career path that no longer inspires you, or a dream that's become a burden. Whatever it is, recognize that clinging to it won't bring fulfillment. By opening your hands and letting go, you create space for the right opportunities, people, and experiences to enter your life. As Rumi once said, try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. This test is not easy. It requires vulnerability and trust, but those who pass it find a freedom that cannot be gained by holding on. So, what would happen if you released what no longer serves you? Could letting go be the key to discovering your greatest strength? Now, we come to one of the most agonizing tests, the dark night of the soul. It doesn't come with preparation or warning. Instead, it arrives like an unrelenting storm, dismantling everything you believed was stable. Relationships crumble, cherished dreams dissolve, and your sense of purpose vanishes into uncertainty. This isn't just a period of sadness, it's a profound confrontation with the very core of your being. Consider J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, as an example of someone who endured this test. Before her rise to fame, Rowling experienced a dark night of her own. She was a single mother, jobless, and living in near poverty, struggling to make ends meet. During this time, her vision for Harry Potter emerged, a story born out of her darkest moments. Rowling later admitted that hitting rock bottom was the foundation upon which she rebuilt her life, allowing her to create a world that would inspire millions. This test isn't about punishment, it's about purification. It strips away illusions, forcing you to confront truths you may have avoided. Steve Jobs faced his own version of this test when he was ousted from Apple, the company he co-founded. Jobs once described it as the most painful period of his life, yet it allowed him to rediscover his passion and eventually return to Apple stronger than ever. The dark night didn't end him, it transformed him. But this test isn't exclusive to the famous. Many ordinary people face their own dark nights when a marriage falls apart, a career suddenly ends, or health takes an unexpected turn. These moments feel unbearable, like walking through a tunnel with no end in sight. I've experienced this myself, lying awake at night, questioning everything I thought I knew about my purpose. But in that darkness, something shifted. It wasn't the end, it was the start of something new. The dark night of the soul serves as a crucible. It burns away the superficial and leaves behind the essence of who you truly are. Nelson Mandela endured this during his 27 years of imprisonment. Stripped of freedom, family, and the life he once knew, Mandela could have succumbed to despair. Instead, he emerged as a beacon of resilience and forgiveness, ready to lead South Africa into a new era. His transformation wasn't born in ease, but in the darkest of times. Passing this test requires endurance and faith. It challenges you to sit with the pain, to let it reshape you without losing the light within. Those who endure the dark night often discover strengths they never knew they had. They emerge on the other side not as who they were, but as who they were meant to become. Ask yourself, when life dismantles your foundation, can you hold on? Can you trust that the darkness isn't the end, but a necessary process of renewal? The light you carry within, hidden beneath layers of doubt and fear, can illuminate your path if you let it. The dark night of the soul isn't the final chapter. It's the chapter that transforms your story into something extraordinary. Faith. This test is not about religion or rituals. It's about trusting in the unseen, believing in a path that remains hidden when the ground beneath your feet seems to crumble. This test asks a daunting question. Can you keep moving forward when everything is uncertain? A striking example of this is Oprah Winfrey's early career. Before becoming a household name, Oprah faced a series of professional challenges, including being removed from a co-anchor role. At that moment, the future felt entirely uncertain. Yet she trusted her instincts, leaned into her natural talent for storytelling, and took on a talk show role that seemed small at first. That leap of faith ultimately led her to create the Oprah Winfrey Show, a platform that transformed television and her own life. Another powerful story is that of Malala Yousafzai. After being shot for advocating girls' education, she could have retreated in fear. Instead, she moved forward with unwavering faith in her mission. Even in the face of danger, Malala trusted that her efforts were part of a greater purpose, one that she could not yet fully see but believed in deeply. Her faith not only saved her, but also empowered millions of girls around the world. Faith isn't blind optimism. It's not pretending everything is fine. It's the quiet, steady belief that there is meaning even in chaos. It's the courage to take small steps when the bigger picture feels out of reach. A viewer once shared with me that after losing her job, she felt paralyzed by fear and doubt. But instead of giving up, she focused on small actions, applying for new roles and learning new skills. A year later, she was running her own successful business, a path she couldn't have imagined when everything first fell apart. This test strips away the illusion of control and asks you to trust the process. It's about believing that even when the road is invisible, it exists. When life feels uncertain or even hopeless, ask yourself, can you keep moving forward, trusting that there's a purpose to the struggle, even if you don't see it yet? Those who pass this test discover an inner strength and clarity that can only be found by walking through uncertainty with faith as their guide. It's not about knowing the destination, but trusting that each step, no matter how small, is leading you where you're meant to be. Surrender might sound like giving up, but it's actually the opposite. It's about trusting the flow of life when your plans don't work out. This test challenges our deepest instinct, the need for control. From an early age, we are taught that success comes from careful planning and relentless effort. But life doesn't adhere to our blueprints. It weaves its own intricate design, often leading us to destinations we never envisioned. Surrender asks us to let go of the illusion of control and trust the unpredictable flow of life. Consider Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. In the mid-1990s, Bezos left a stable, lucrative career in finance to pursue an idea that seemed risky and uncertain, selling books online. Many would have clung to the security of a steady job, but Bezos surrendered to his vision, trusting the journey. That leap into the unknown not only revolutionized e-commerce but also reshaped global markets. Similarly, Maya Angelou's life is a testament to surrender. Early in her career, she faced numerous personal and professional setbacks, including single motherhood and job instability. Instead of resisting or over-planning, she embraced life's twists, allowing her creative instincts to guide her. This surrender led her to write I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, a work that profoundly impacted literature and civil rights. Surrender isn't about passivity or giving up. It's about releasing the grip on outcomes and trusting that life's detours hold meaning. Personally, I've learned this lesson repeatedly. Whenever I've tried to micromanage my future, life has reminded me of its unpredictable nature. Yet, when I've chosen to release control, opportunities have emerged that I could never have orchestrated myself. The test of surrender asks, can you let go of the steering wheel and trust that life knows the way better than you do? It's not easy. Our minds cling to plans, fearing the unknown. But those who pass this test often find themselves in places of greater purpose and fulfillment, precisely because they allowed life to lead. Surrender isn't losing control. It's aligning with a force greater than ourselves. Finally, the test of awakening. This isn't about struggle. It's about realization. It's the moment when the illusions of separation dissolve and you understand that you are not a participant in life, you are life itself. It's a shift in perception that redefines how you see the world and your place within it. Consider Albert Einstein, whose theory of relativity was not just a scientific breakthrough, but a profound expression of interconnectedness. Einstein often spoke about how the universe is a singular entity, with everything intricately woven together. His realization of oneness not only reshaped physics, but also illuminated the interconnected fabric of existence, a truth he deeply believed humanity needed to embrace. Similarly, think about Eckhart Tolle, whose spiritual awakening came during a period of intense despair. Tolle describes how one sleepless night he reached a breaking point, only to awaken to the realization that his suffering stemmed from an illusion of separation. From that moment, his life transformed, and his teachings, such as The Power of Now, have inspired millions to experience their own awakening. Awakening is the sunrise after a long night, a light that spills over every doubt, fear, and trial, revealing that each step of the journey was preparing you for this moment. It's not about finding meaning in external pursuits, but realizing that you are the meaning. This test asks, can you embrace the truth that your trials weren't obstacles but teachers? That your existence is not separate from the flow of life but a vital part of it? Those who pass this test find a freedom that cannot be shaken, for they live not as seekers of purpose, but as embodiments of it. These 7 life tests are more than just hurdles, they are invitations to transform. From questioning your identity to navigating isolation, letting go and surrendering control, each challenge strips away another layer of illusion, revealing the raw, unpolished essence of who you are. A common misconception is that these trials exist to break you, but in truth, they are designed to make you whole. Think of Steve Jobs rediscovering his purpose after failure, or Oprah redefining her path through faith and surrender. They passed these tests not by avoiding them, but by walking straight into them, emerging on the other side transformed. So let me ask you, when life places these trials on your path, will you rise to meet them, or will you shrink from their call? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and remember, you're not facing these tests alone. We're all walking this path, one lesson at a time.